Namaste. I'm Prathima David from Wiki KYC. Wiki KYC is a state level Karnataka Yoga Sector Council of Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are a voluntary council consisting of yoga educators and yoga practitioners from across the state who have come together to make a difference in the community through various projects under four pillars of advocacy, community, funding, and governance. We welcome you to this Yoga Samvaad of September 2020, Women, Wellness, and Yoga, with a gorgeous, beautiful yoga teacher and my good friend, Shruthi. I will let her give you a little more about herself. Shruthi, welcome, and please tell us how about yourself.
Namaste. Thank you, Prathima. It's a great pleasure to be here. Well, what do I say? My journey with yoga began, I think, when I was 4 years old. I didn't start the practice as such. However, I was exposed to yoga at a very young age. This is mainly because of my maternal grandfather. He was a practitioner of yoga and he followed the BKS Iyengar style of yoga. I used to watch him practice a lot of times, and it was great to see him practice every single day. My actual practice or my teaching began in 2014. This is through a center called Temple Yoga. And my guru was from the Bihar School of Yoga. His name was Nagaraj. And he was a 70-year-old man, but he was a very good guru.
Wow.
So yeah, 2014 is when I started my actual practice. I extensively practice Ashtanga Yoga, although I have been introduced to Hatha Yoga as well.
Okay, great. It must have been really, inspiring to watch a 70-year-old practice, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
My granddad was also 70 when he was practicing. I think about late 60s. Yeah.
Okay. And so you did your course, and then what? When I did my course also, there were a lot of colleagues who learned or did the course for their own enrichment and not for teaching. So, but what made you get into the profession as such?
I used to watch my mom, my aunt, my granddad practice, and they would teach me. Now, it didn't open my eyes until I actually started my practice. But as I began, I would remember what they had told me years ago. Okay, so I saw benefits in telling somebody or nurturing somebody from a very young age. And I thought I should do it with children, I should do it with other women. And holistically, I think yoga changes us as a person. It
Absolutely.
gives a profound sense of self.
Yes.
And I feel I have discovered various sides of me over the years as I practiced. And, it's opened up layers of me. And I thought I should do it for others too. And that's how I began teaching others.
And it's so fulfilling, isn't it, when we actually share what we know, especially when it comes to health, which is so much important. I think anything else is still fine, but health, I think, that is something that stays with us throughout. And sharing that and sharing the knowledge of yoga is the most beautiful thing ever. Even I have experienced the same thing. Great.
Yeah.
So coming to the pregnancy and yoga practice during pregnancy, uh, for me it was, though I knew about yoga uh, uh, from many years, like even I was also introduced to yoga when I was very young, but there was a gap. You know how it is, no? We just tend to take it very easy when we are young.
Lightly.
And yes, and so it so happened that during pregnancy I became very aware and conscious, and I had all the time because I quit my job and I was sitting at home. So I enrolled myself for prenatal yoga, and it helped me a lot. But I would like to understand how your journey was in that aspect during pregnancy.
Okay. Okay. I didn't really practice yoga with my first pregnancy. However, with my second pregnancy, I had already started my journey with yoga. And I saw a huge change in the way I handled my second pregnancy, not just because I was used to it and I knew what to do with the baby, but it also gave me a sense of relief because I knew how to handle my stress. Every time I was worried, every time I was physically exhausted, every time I was sleep deprived, I just knew how to revive myself. I knew how to restore that energy and strength. And yoga instills that inner strength, right? I'm sure you know about it. It
Absolutely.
helps you tackle everything with ease. There's a sense of understanding about the situation or acceptance about the situation, which I didn't know earlier. And yeah, I think my second pregnancy was easier because I was practicing yoga. So I practiced yoga till the 8th month of my pregnancy. And I took it a little easy during my 9th month. So, but I think it was an easy pregnancy because of yoga.
Good, good, good. And in my case, um, when I was pregnant, it was much easier for me because I was just me. You know, I had the baby, but in my tummy, of course, but I still had the freedom to move around on my own. So I would walk
Yeah.
a lot and I took up these classes. Then I was not a teacher still. So I had to, take training under trained, teacher who taught me
Mhm.
prenatal. But the challenge was, uh, after I had the baby. So then it
Yeah.
made me very limited because I could not carry the baby and go, for any class and I was all alone taking care of the
Correct.
baby. So I had challenge there. And, then I started sensing and realizing the postnatal stress that actually took a big toll on me.
Yes.
I had a lot of health, issues because of that.
Yes.
So, how did you come across this kind of a situation and how did you deal with that?
So, my yoga journey began after my first pregnancy, is mainly because I faced a lot of postnatal stress. So, the minute the baby was born, I felt alone and I felt exhausted. I felt like, although I had enough help around me, my husband was supportive, my parents were there, my mother in law was there, I would still feel like I was all by myself. So, and it led to a lot of stress where I would break down for the smallest of reasons. I cried for hours together, or I would just be exhausted physically, mentally, with the new role of being a mother. So, there were times, automatically as human beings, we know how to restore energy, even without practicing any form of exercise. We sometimes know what to do. So, I would move into the child pose, which is the Shashankasana, and would relax in that pose for like 10-15 minutes. And when I got up from that pose, I would feel a lot better.
Mhm.
And it did something to me. And that's when I realized that it's not just a science, it actually alters your state of mind. It also gives you strength. And I'm sure that changed things for me. And due to my postnatal stress, I thought I must take up yoga so that I come back to being myself. I felt I'd lost a piece of me, which was actually that happy side, which was a more, what do you say, a strong side. I'd lost that side of me. I felt delicate, I felt fragile, and I needed that strength, that inner strength. And that's how I took up yoga. So, yeah, I think healing process and recovery becomes a lot faster when you're practicing yoga on a regular basis.
Okay.
How is your healing with your knees? I remember you had injured your knees and you had surgery done, right, for both your knees?
In 2018, I was hurt my left knee. And, then I was just, I had just completed my teacher's training and I just knew some basics how I could, take care of my, body and take care of the
Right.
joints. So, with almost zero physiotherapy, only with yoga, I healed my left knee. Unfortunately,
Okay.
in 2020, which is now just before the lockdown, I had a second fall and I hurt my right
Oh
knee as
God.
well. So both my knee has had ACL reconstruction surgery, and
Oh my God.
I'm so glad. Unlike many others who I've come across who have had the same surgery, who are struggling after years,
Yeah.
unlike them, I can see that, what yoga has given me when I was faced with this challenge. It just made me
Mhm.
so strong from within that I know I can deal with this, and I know I can come back on my feet, and it is completely amazing what I could do with myself, with all that learning that
Right.
I had. Yes. So going back to, like you were just telling me that you as a child did watch yoga happen in your home, and still you couldn't practice for various reasons, maybe till until certain point, and then you took it up at a
Right.
later stage.
Yeah.
Just trying to understand. And this is a very important question, because one of the Yoga Council member, who is my mentor and my teacher, has
Right.
specifically put this question in my head, that I should ask you this question, which is,
Okay.
considering your experience, will you bring yoga will you get your children interested in yoga? And if
Mhm.
so, how?
Well, when I was very young and I watched my aunt and my mom practice yoga and my granddad practice yoga, it was all a child's play for me. I used to get into the posture just to have fun with it. Or sometimes I even made fun of my aunt and my mom because they were not as flexible as I was. And they would struggle to get into a pose. I would laugh at them and then show off and things like that. But somehow I did have fun doing it. However, I was not told the importance of what it does to us. Like, I didn't understand the philosophy of it. But I feel if we can explain to our children the science of yoga or the philosophy of yoga, they would probably take to it very easily when compared to an adult. See, what happened to me was a very personal journey. I took up to it only when I grew up because I wanted to, and
Mhm.
nobody else could influence me because I'd grown up too much to listen to anybody. But when they're children, they're so observing and absorbent of things. They're so innocent, and they believe whatever you tell them. And especially if it's a mother or a father or a caretaker, when you instill these things at a very young age, they grow up to doing it with ease. And all it takes is for us to create a schedule for them on a regular basis. But I think what we can do with children is not put them on a rigid format. Like, you don't give them a yoga practice for 1 hour because their attention span is that much lesser. But we can try, and making it a routine is what I would suggest. Maybe start with 15 minutes, then increase it to 30 minutes. Like, sometimes I sit with my children and I do the candle trataka, and they enjoy it. They light the fire and they sit around, they switch off the lights and close the curtain, and they're focusing on the candle. Sometimes I've moved from 2 minutes to 5 minutes, and they were absolutely okay with it. So I think constant emphasis would make that change in them, and they would take to it eventually. But what would you do with adults? I mean, I'm sure with children we can still consider giving it as a practice. But what do you do with adults? Do you convince people to practice yoga?
So whenever I get a chance, of course, I talk about it, because this has made magic in my life. And
Yes.
the biggest challenge for me was to bring my husband to the mat. So, and my son, I think when he was about 4 or 5 year old, I put him in a yoga class, because I am still his mother, so he wouldn't take my words so easily. So
Mhm.
I had put him to a yoga session which had a lot of animal postures and stories to tell, and then in between they would do asanas. So that got him really interested in the in this form, the yoga form as such. And now he cannot go for the classes, but he definitely comes to me whenever I practice. I have a space,
Mhm.
so he comes there and he puts on his mat as and when I am practicing. He tries out
Yeah.
all the postures that I do. And it's
Correct.
so nice that I don't have to tell him, come on, practice, or, do it. I
Yeah.
don't have to put any extra effort. But with my
Correct.
husband, I'm just comparing because this is the most easiest thing for me. I have seen both of them. My
Yeah.
husband, I had to actually talk a lot
Enforce it.
about, yes, how it actually helped me and how it has helped my students. And very recently, he started practicing only, in 2020, he just started in January. And he is the latest student I ever have. And yes, but it's good.
You're lucky. I'm yet to do that with my husband.
Yeah, I know. No, it's a big task, and
Yes.
they just take it so lightly because it is we who's telling them. And but when he started seeing a lot of change and high energy in him.
Mhm.
So even till date, he continues his practice, and I'm very, very happy to have given it to him, as a
Mhm.
gift. I consider it that way. So I do this with,
Absolutely.
I do this with everybody who I meet or who talks to me. I always tell them, but very, very subtly, because you know how it is. People are so,
Yes.
it's difficult to convince them. So I don't force,
Convinced. Yeah.
but I just
Yeah.
tell them my experience. Definitely, I
Yeah.
do share that. Yes.
Okay.
Great.
Nice.
Okay. So coming back to your journey,
Mhm.
I always used to see you and Stira. For me, Shruti and Stira is just like one. So I know
Mhm.
that you have come up with this community, Stira. And just
Mhm.
tell us about your, uniqueness in Stira, and what made you form this community.
Okay. Well, Sthira is a name I chose because that's who I want to be. I want to be unstable, unshaken, and really strong from deep within. Now, I started Sthira after discussing the names with a lot of people, and one of my friends called Preeta Chandrasekhar, we had 5 names chosen, and Sthira was one name that I really loved. Okay, she also suggested this name to me, and I loved it because I connected with that name immediately because I felt like that's who I want to be. I want to be unshaken by my external happenings. So that's how I chose the name. But how I formed yoga was very strange because I was living in Dollars Colony, and there was this one person who came to me, starting to starting to talk about his insomnia and how he needed help with it. He just knew that I practiced yoga and had just put up one small poster outside my gate saying if someone needs to practice yoga on a regular basis, they could contact me. So he walked up to me one day asking if I could get him to sleep. Okay. So that's how I began my journey. So he was my first student and he began my journey for me. And then there was no stopping. He recommended me to many other people, and it is just word of mouth. And if they start believing in you, then you don't really have to talk about it to anybody. So, that's how
Absolutely.
it began.
Yeah. So when people come to me, the
Mhm.
first thing is there's a lot of counseling that happens
Absolutely.
much before they take class. They have so many things to share with you,
Share.
tell
Yeah.
you. Yes, they want to just tell you so many things. And the moment they find that comfort in you, they just open up and they just give, a lot of freedom for us as yoga teachers to work on them. Now that is a
Yeah.
very, very important thing, because when I started my studio, I started with two ladies who were in their 60s, just
Hmm.
because they wanted to practice yoga and they just wanted to do it for good health. uh,
Hmm.
though they didn't have any ailment as such, uh, but it helped them so much. Even at that age, they kind of lost weight and they started feeling so energetic, and they would climb
Yeah.
stairs which otherwise they used to avoid.
Yeah.
So when they started seeing these changes, they started talking about it to their friends, and the friends
Many
went and
people.
spoke to another family member. And that is how I have grown. And when I
Okay.
started Abhisarga, or when I even did my course, the only thing that I knew was I just wanted to, be a yoga teacher. That is it.
Okay.
So when I started Abhisarga is the meaning
What
is
does it mean?
creation.
Creation.
So
Okay.
that is exactly what I wanted to do. And in my 20s, I came across this name Abhisarga, and from then I have been waiting. So to whatever I create, I would name it as Abhisarga, and it just fitted so well. So
Yeah.
so I call that my community Abhisarga. It's amazing. Stira is a beautiful name, and I've just fallen in love with that name right from the
Thank
time I have, yes, known about it.
thank you.
Great.
In fact, I keep thinking, that what we do is so amazing because, I mean, not just us, but anybody who gives to another person is, it gives great joy, that trust that they have in you. My mother used to always say that if you can even create something for somebody, or if they trust you so much that they share things with you, half the battle is done. Like, you have people who love you and trust you, and that brings the greatest joy.
Totally agree with you. Great. So, having spoken about what we have created out of whatever we have learned, coming back to our students, like how has your journey been when they come back to you and give you, their experience about the whole journey with you?
Yeah.
How has it
Mhm.
been?
Like I said, we were just discussing that we enjoy tailor making the content for them, right? So they come with an ailment. You study more than, you're learning every single day. So you're studying for that person. You're learning more for that person. You're guiding the person, but at the same time, it's so enriching for us to know more each day with each person. And when you see them improve physically, mentally, and begin a new journey with life, it makes you feel great. And you make so many good friends, and they trust you so much. And I think that's the most important virtue of the job that we do, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's been great. And you see people improving from the thyroid levels to getting better, feeling fitter, or somebody has frozen shoulders, they come out of it in no time. Sometimes, it's also a mental state. They start believing that this is possible because each day of their practice, they start feeling slightly better. So they're like, okay, this is possible. So that mental state keeps only improving with each day. It doesn't go back. So when they believe, it does happen to them. So that way, yes, watching them has also assured or created an affirmation for me.
Yes. In my experience,
But you,
I have a set of ladies who practice with me.
Mhm.
They're all in their 50s, and there's one lady in her 60s also. And they
Yeah,
all are practicing with me for the last 4 years. Okay.
okay.
I feel that's really so long for anyone to stick together and,
Stick together.
yeah. What I have noticed is the kind of trust they have in you. They come
Yeah,
back to me, they message me, I have a slight headache. What do you think I can do now? These
yeah.
approach to those new students who have just come to me, they start treating you like someone who can help
Like a
them.
doctor.
Yes. So every step they feel they can rely on you, and initially
Yes.
difficult because I was not sure of many things. I was also learning, and when they wish me for Teachers Day or Guru Purnima, I always tell
Yeah.
them I learn more than
Learn more. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So that has been amazing journey for me because, like you said, I have had students who came to me only because they had some small ailments, like simple ones, like gastric headache and
Right.
back pain, knee pain, and all this. And knowingly or unknowingly, with your regular simple practice, they heal. And
Yeah.
no time they come back to me and they tell me that, yeah, when I started, I had my knee pain, but now I don't have it.
Yeah.
It is such, and I always tell my students, I get butterflies in my stomach when I get
And I
this.
tell you something. Yeah.
That this is what I'm experiencing, and it's amazing. And I get
Yeah.
such good sleep just knowing that I'm doing so much good, how much ever I can, in my limits. Great.
Yeah.
So great. So when we become teachers, I have experienced that a lot of things change.
Yeah.
Not only become a teacher, become a practitioner more than a teacher.
Yeah.
So how has it been for you? Has things changed? And have you started looking at everything differently? How is it for you?
I really feel a sense of healing. See, a lot of things affect us. Yeah. Each day we feel stressed, we feel upset, we get tired physically, mentally. And the world around us is not easy to live in anymore because there's so much exposure, there's so much happening, there's so much bad happening in the world. But I think the healing process is a lot faster now. And I see myself reacting less to things compared to how it was before. And as a person, I'm quite sensitive. I get upset about small things, but I see myself handling it a lot better. It doesn't leave residue of emotions anymore for me. Like I don't suffer from the same pain for too long. I get over it, I move on, I learn to let go, I learn to handle things a lot better. And I think I see a calmer sense of everything. I deal with things very differently. And yeah, I'm sure you realize also like we're peeling ourselves like onion each day, every time discovering a new layer of ourselves. And it's amazing. And the thing is, I sometimes feel the amount we know when it comes to yoga and science is just probably a drop of that ocean. Because what we know is very little, it's so vast, there's so much more to learn. But I still feel that if we can give even a drop of that magic potion to somebody, it's great. You feel like a genie, right? So that's how it's been for me.
I really like like a genie. Sometimes we and that magic potion, very, very
Yeah.
nice put it. Yes. So a lot of things change. Initially I used to be very intolerant. I like certain things very perfect, and
Yeah.
little more on cleanliness and a lot of.
OCD.
Yes. So it used to trouble me a lot when I look at something not in its place, and
Yeah.
uh, after practicing, I feel I'm so tolerant. Like even in
Yeah.
traffic, even when I'm driving, or I'm dealing with my son or my
Yeah.
husband, and the regular routine, I find myself a little more tolerant to everything around me and calm. And I have my students who have come and told me that I see that I'm dealing with things differently. So
Yeah.
sometimes they're not able to explain exactly what it is. Like
Yeah.
you cannot exactly pinpoint and say this is what is.
Yeah.
But
Put your finger.
when you look at overall, there's a lot that is become better. I feel I let go faster, and it's amazing. I totally agree with all that you have experienced. Great. So COVID times, my God, what COVID has done to all of us. And how has it been with COVID?
Honestly, I really can't complain, okay? Because I read that on Facebook once that if you have roof over your head, food on your plate, and people who love you, then you're richer than half the people on this earth. So I think that's true for me as well. I really couldn't complain. And living in Coog was so much more easier to handle children, handle the stress of not going out, not being able to live a normal life. But I didn't really feel it much because it was only for 2 months that I didn't teach yoga or do anything. But after that, the amount of opportunity that opened up online was massive because earlier I was confined to my space where I teach and to my classroom. Now it's quite wide. Now I can reach out to all my yogis across the world, and I have people from different places, um, from other states, from other countries, and it's really nice because it's expanding. And I really can't complain right now about COVID because it only worked out better for me. And I think it gave me a lot of time to do things that I really love to do. Like I got more time to practice yoga. I didn't have to drive my son to school or drop him somewhere or pick him up. So it gave extra time for me to probably read or to, do some gardening with the children and to kind of slow down. We otherwise are running helter skelter, doing different things every single day. Although the busy schedule kind of ate me up sometimes because the lack of maids and, help at home kind of drove me crazy at times, it still gave me time to stop and smell the roses. It gave me time to watch the sunrise. It gave me time to watch the birds fly by. And, it gave me time for all those things that, was kind of difficult on those regular schedules.
And
What about you? How did you handle it?
no, I think living in Coorg itself is luxury. If you ask me, it is luxury.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You do get that clean environment and that greenery. And I have grown up in Coorg, so I really
Yeah,
envy you, and I'm so happy that you can
you
go
can
back
come
and
back.
stay there. Yeah, but COVID has actually been a challenge to most of them. But like you said, we can't complain because it has opened up. I think, we were confined to one space and now it's not the same. So,
Yeah,
a lot of students who kept asking me from, international students and from other states have been able to
yeah,
take classes. So
absolutely.
I'm happier because I can, extend my support to all of them who earlier I thought was not possible. I
Mhm.
still feel studio classes are so much better because there is a personal touch, and
Of course.
yeah, but still I feel at least something better than nothing. So I still
Mhm.
classes for other state
Yeah.
people and all that. So it's really picked up, and it's opened something that I never thought it would.
Thought would, yeah,
Like you said, no, we really can't complain. Something
yeah.
happened for the better.
Good, yeah.
So lovely talking to you. And how what is the future, and how do you look at that?
Uh, well, I feel life is ever changing, and I really can't plan ahead because I never planned my life to be like this. I never thought or planned to be a yoga instructor, and I wouldn't want to believe that this is it for me. I wouldn't want to kind of start thinking that this is my pattern and this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Although this is a part of my plan, I can't kind of, what do you say, define this to be the ultimate for me. I don't know where life will take me. I don't know what I'll be doing. But of course, yoga is definitely going to be a part of my regular plan. But I wouldn't want to think too much ahead. I don't plan much ahead. I take it as it comes. And let's see how it goes. What about you?
Yes, like you said, yoga is the thing. Uh, but when I started yoga, no, Shruti, I realized that I became calmer and I was able to focus on a lot more things that I never knew about myself.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
painting, like doing something else, like dancing. So a lot
Yeah.
of things opened up, and I started seeing myself do everything a little more better.
With better.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I feel just like you that yoga is always going to be there, and I will always remain a teacher. But along with
Yeah.
that, yes, I don't plan much. So that is the only thing I have planned, to be a teacher
Yeah.
as long as I can, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of things will open up. I may want to
Yeah.
learn salsa. So those are
Wow.
some of my wish lists. I hope.
Yeah.
Things open up faster so we can get on to whatever the normal or the new normal. So
Yeah.
yes, so let's hope everything works out well with yoga around us. And it was lovely talking to you, Shruti. And
Thank you. Likewise.
yes, it's amazing that we could connect and share our experience about these very
Absolutely.
important topics, which I
Yeah.
think on a regular basis, on in every household there is someone struggling with
Yeah.
things that we spoke about. So I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you took out time to sit and chat out with me. Thank you so much. And
Thank you too.
yes, namaste. Thank you so much, Shruti.
Thank you too.